Right, I'm going to make this video, but I'm going to and ah as to whether I'm going to upload it because bit of a weird one. So, have you heard of kinesiology? My wife went to see a kinesiologist. Not him, that's my cat. That's Gizmo. So my wife went to see a kinesiologist and she did all this stuff, and she came back and she was like, I was like, yeah, whatever. I don't really, it's not my thing, crystals, blah, 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 blah. It sounds like a lot like Reiki to me. Not really into it, okay? When I say I'm not really into it, I'm not into it, okay? Simple as that. It's not my thing. So she came back and she's like, saying, yeah, oh, it was great, they did this, they did that, right? And I was like, oh, okay. It kind of piqued my interest, but I was just like, yeah, kind of whatever. So she said, I think you would benefit from doing it through, at least discovering certain things about you and your autoimmune situation with ankylosing spondylitis. And I've also got other stuff going on like epilepsy, depression, anxiety, basically. So put those in a melting pot, and it's not a great situation, but I'm managing. Simple as that. So she said, I think you'd benefit from it. So I will admit, I went to see a lady that does kinesiology. Now, even up until I stepped in the door, I was just like, don't really kind of, I don't really go for it. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Anyway, it was all about pressure on your arm, and your basically subconscious tells your arm whether it moves or not. And it's like asks a question, it's like, have you had a cup of tea today? And then she pushes down, and if it doesn't move, it's like you have. Or if you haven't, she'll push down and it'll move. It's like that. Anyway, it's a bit weird. I was even in there, I was just like, okay, still not believing how it can help me or anything like that. But one thing that she asked about was, when do you think that you were actually, when did you think you actually got ankylosing spondylitis? And I said, oh, probably about, I was diagnosed in 2017, but I was showing symptoms like a year or so before that. And she said, okay. And she did a few little weird things and stuff like that. And she said, okay, it goes back further than that. And I was like, okay. I always assumed that I got it from, I caught a parasite in Rhodes in Greece when I was on holiday. Not to put you off on holiday. If you want to go to Rhodes, it's fine. It's a nice place. But I was just unlucky, and it ripped my insides out. So that's what I assumed was my issue. That's where I think I got it from, and my immune system, just kicked in a bit too much. So she said, okay, did all these little tests and stuff, and she said, okay, I think you've had it longer than that. And I was like, okay. And she said, I think you've had it between 15 and 20 years ago. I was like, okay, that's a long old time ago. And I was like, okay. And she said, can you remember back that far? And I'm like, struggled to remember what happened yesterday. Struggled to remember what happened, at the beginning of the video, and why I do videos sometimes. Anyway, she said, what happened around, let's start at 20 years ago. So we started and kind of worked forwards from there. And we got to a point. Now, this was really, really weird. I was like, oh yeah, how weird is this? I went to Egypt and my wife came back really, really ill, like stomach, the Egypt stomach that you get when you come back from there. It's pretty horrific. But I was fine. Like I came back all right. Didn't think anything was an issue or anything like that. But then some months later, I woke up one morning and my glands here and here were just like, and I had the mumps. Now, mumps can be, you know, transmitted like from surface to surface, from touch to touch, from babies, you know. And she said, were you working in a large office at the time? And I said, I was, yes. And were there lots of people with, you know, babies at the time? And I was like, yeah, it was a young place to work. It was full of babies, loads of babies were in there. And she said, how long ago was that? And I said, it was about 2007, 2008. And it fits perfectly in that between 15 and 20 years. So I was like, okay, this is really, really weird. And she said, can you think of anything that happened around that time? And I was like, yes, I can actually. I remember my thumb and my index finger there having real issues. And the only reason why I remember that was because there was a really weird bloke who worked there, and he said that he would rub in the ibuprofen gel. He said he'd rub it in for me. I was like, what? You know, each to their own. But no, if anybody's gonna rub it in, it's me. And that's why I remember it, because it was a bit of a weird experience around it. And I was like, okay. And it was all swollen around there. First sign of inflammation. Boom, there it was. And then a couple of months later after that, I had a sinus infection where it was completely inflamed. And when the sinus, should we say, goo came out, it was actually I'm going to be graphic and disgusting here. It was like a clump, and I'm talking a clump, the size of from there to there, yep, of congealed blood and snot. I sneezed and it came out into a tissue. It was so disgusting. I rang my wife and I said, you've got to come and check this out. And she was working down the road at the time, and she met me for lunch. And I carried it around because I was so proud of this thing that came out of me. I mean, I could smell like all around the universe after it came out. It was massive, right? Anyway, this thing, I was like, what the hell is it? And she said, well, it looks like a really major blood clot. And I was like, yeah, okay, chuck it down the toilet. Right, so off it went. And it was since then, and I look back and I'm thinking, right, okay, yeah, it is that. So after all this time, I've been thinking I caught it from a parasite in 2016, 17 or whatever it was. No, I've had this, albeit different kind of symptoms, and they've obviously ramped up over a long period of time, since about 2007. So my diagnosis time from the point at which I felt extreme pain to actually being diagnosed is still a short amount of time. However, that point there to the point that I was actually diagnosed is another about 10 years. And there's loads of incidents in between there where you think to yourself, hang on a minute, yeah, that happened. Like going down a slide and I hurt my thumb and it just wouldn't heal. And then next thing you know, it's really, excessively inflamed. Stomach issues here and there where I had a cast iron stomach before that. Never a problem. So there we go. Kinesiology was what made me find that out. And I still think it's a little bit weird. I I'm not really into it. I don't see that it has a place with what I've got and how it's helps me. I mean, it's shown me that my initial, like when I first had symptoms, was a different time to when I thought, and then it's just kind of almost you just look back and it's almost regression kind of thing, going think, and kind of pinpointing a time. So it's kind of helped me see when it was. Other than that, it hasn't really gone, oh yeah, I'll cure you or anything like that, because obviously there is no cure. But yeah, I just thought I might point that out. It was an odd experience, and yeah, you learn something new every day. But there we go. I'm in two minds of posting this up because it's a bit weird, and I know it's like kind of like, do I believe in it? Do I don't? Do I not? Some people do. Each to their own. I'm not someone that will go, please don't believe in this. Please believe in that. Each to their own. Everybody's got their own kind of opinions on what they want to believe in. That's absolutely fine. I respect that you've got your own beliefs. Obviously some of them are wrong. Joking. So yeah, whatever you want to believe in, fine, go for it. But there we go. Interesting little story for you today.